Hey everybody, Nick Espinosa, your chief security fanatic here, and today we have to talk about FTX, and I'm not sure if I've actually talked about them in my daily videos and podcasts before. I think the radio, most definitely my radio show, but we are talking about FTX today because the scandal that is that massive implosion of that cryptocurrency platform is just gotten way worse. Now, a new report came out, and quite frankly, I read it, but I'm actually cribbing from Lucas Ropek of Gizmodo because I thought he had a really good and concise write-up, and I'm cleaning up a little bit of his language here because I tend not to swear in my podcasts and videos, but Lucas, I'm right there with you, buddy. Now, here's what's going on. So we've known since basically the very beginning that FTX's cybersecurity was lax, at least since last November, because less than 24 hours after they got hit and declared Chapter 11, basically they had a massive cyber attack, if you didn't know that. Now, during that attack, essentially some kind of attacker or threat actor made off with $432 million US in assets. That's a huge amount of digital cash, and it's still unaccounted for until this day. Now, at that time, that incident seemed like just bad news on top of the already hot mess express of this situation. But now, thanks to this report, we've got more context because this past Monday's report, which extensively reviews the company's total failure to institute just the most basic of cybersecurity controls, is just insane. I mean, it's amazing. And Lucas makes the point, makes you wonder how the company didn't get hacked earlier. And honestly, they probably did. And we had no idea. And we might find out. Quote, the FTX group failed to implement basic, widely accepted security controls to protect crypto assets. Each failure was egregious in the context of a business entrusted with customers' transactions, according to the filing. Honest to God, and here are some of the key takeaways from this. But this is absolutely true. This is like cyber hygiene 101. If I was teaching, incoming college freshmen, that are wanting to be cybersecurity professionals, this is the basic checklist that we should all be doing in our daily lives, let alone if we are running a company that's worth something like $30-40 billion in cryptocurrency. This is absolutely nuts. FTX, for the record, and this is the first point, had 0 trained cybersecurity staff. That is crazy. They literally are worth basically billions of dollars in crypto assets, and they had no dedicated cybersecurity staff. Monday's filing shows the company never bothered to hire a CISO or Chief Information Security Officer. That's an experienced cybersecurity professional. That is literally one of my titles that I hold. Basically, they didn't have a CISO to manage their risk or security. Instead, they relied on 2 of the company's software developers who, the report notes, did not have formal training in security and whose jobs put them in odds with actually prioritizing security. Yes, absolutely. This is a huge thing. In technology, we are all trained differently. When I get up on stage, I talk about, okay, IT is not cybersecurity, different certifications, different approaches, different training. This is absolutely crazy. And with software developers actually running the security, that is nuts. They're not infrastructure professionals. They're not risk professionals. This is absolutely crazy. It's the same way, or the same reason why we never give web developers access to DNS, because it absolutely gets screwed up. And you may not be technical, but my technical audience is shaking their heads saying, oh my God, yes, you never give web designers access to DNS because they screw the whole damn thing up. This is essentially what we are talking about. We are talking about a multi-billion dollar organization with 0 people like me on staff. That's crazy. The report stated, and I quote, the FTX group had no independent chief information security officer, no employee with appropriate training or experience tasked with fulfilling the responsibilities of such a role, and no established processes for assessing a cyber risk, implementing security controls, or responding to cyber incidents in real time. As with critical controls in other areas, the FTX group grossly deprioritized and ignored cybersecurity controls, a remarkable fact, given that, in essence, the FTX group's entire business, its assets, infrastructure, and intellectual property consisted of computer code and technology. Yes, this is absolutely crazy. The next point is FTX basically never used cold storage for their cryptocurrency. That is standard. everybody should be using it, not just the companies, you, if you are heavily vested in crypto as well. Another just insane thing was they didn't keep their users' crypto assets in cold storage. In general, if you didn't know, basically crypto assets can be stored in two different ways. Hot wallets, which are the ones that are the software-based accounts that are usually connected to the internet, so you can go in and see stuff in real time. But there's also cold storage, which is offline storage, and that's a hardware base. So in other words, I can store all my stuff in cold storage and you can hack me till the cows come home, but because I have basically like a piece of hardware that has all of my cryptocurrency on it, or a good chunk of it, he can't steal it from me. It's not plugged into the internet. It's not going anywhere. Cold storage is considered secure, while hot wallets are obviously a much more of a risk because obviously you're linking to the web and you can get hacked. That's just standard. That's just standard. And so standard wisdom for cryptocurrency platforms, they keep crypto in hot wallets as necessary to keep accounts liquid, but the rest of it is always in cold storage. Meaning, let's say you're worth $30 billion and you've got active traders left and right, buy, sell, whatever it is. Maybe $1 billion is in a hot wallet and 29 billion is in cold storage. Because obviously if you get hit and you get hit hard, nobody can steal $30-40 billion from you. FTX didn't do that. They kept everything, or virtually all, according to the report, in hot wallets. That is absolutely insane. On top of this, and this is the next point, private cryptographic keys were left unencrypted. That's crazy. Apparently, they kept client-sensitive cryptographic keys and seed phrases in plain text documents that were accessible by staff. I mean, my God. Okay, and so in crypto, if you didn't know, a key or seed phrase is the password that gets you inside a user's wallet. So, needless to say, industry standards compel crypto exchanges to keep that data encrypted. Meaning if I'm breaking in to ransom you or steal your cryptocurrency, you've got it in a text file, a Word document, whatever, copy, paste, unlock, steal. My God, that's absolutely nuts. And so they apparently kept keys that could open wallets worth tens of millions of dollars unencrypted, just laying around in their Amazon AWS account. Now, according to the report, that was part and parcel a generally disorganized approach to security, which, quote, private keys and seed phrases used by FTX.com, FTX.us, and Alameda were stored in various locations throughout the FTX group's computing environment in a disorganized fashion using a variety of insecure methods and without any uniform or documented procedure, end quote. I would have honestly loved to have been an auditor for this because honestly, this would have just been I would have held press conferences on how stupid this company was. Now, the FTX group also really didn't use multi-factor authentication. I mean, we're beyond, at this point, the standard MFA. And now most users aren't. I understand that. If you're a home user and you've got that authenticator app, that is awesome. I'm a huge, huge fan. But most corporations are paying for things like identity access management with contextual and adaptive multi-factor authentication. We're moving away from traditional, like I get a text message when I log in, because there are more unique approaches. But corporations pay for that privilege. And so, essentially, they, quote, fail to effectively enforce and use, end quote, multi-factor authentication, which is pretty basic. And so the recently released report states that the crypto exchange's leadership, quote, failed to implement in an appropriate fashion even the most widely accepted controls relating to identity and access management, IAM, which I literally just mentioned. That included a failure to use multi-factor authentication as well as single sign-on services, which are considered a best practice at this point, not to mention using things like cloud access security brokers for remote access so you can monitor everything. I mean, this is just a hot freaking mess. And it's unbelievable to me, but I think it underscores a couple of different things. And one of those things is that you never know what you're getting into with cryptocurrency right now. We have a ton, and I mean an absolute ton of regulations, for banks or credit unions. We have FFIEC, GLBA, CUDA, on and on and on, not to mention Sarbanes-Oxley and Securities and Exchange Commission all have standards to make sure that you have aggressive security and controls in place. And with an unregulated or relatively unregulated cryptocurrency market, that becomes a huge issue. And so if anything, this should be just a warning shot across all the bows of every cryptocurrency exchange platform out there. I don't care how legitimate or illegitimate it is, this is a huge problem. And I think what's going to happen is the U.S. government's going to come down, make an example of them, fine them an absolute ton of money. But if everybody's still in the money and they don't have access to it, or cryptocurrency tanks, everybody's screwed. So we're going to see what happens here, but this is just absolutely, just from a cybersecurity standpoint, like, my God, like, there's not enough scotch in Scotland for this one. And so if you had money in FTX, I'm sorry. I hope you got it back, because quite frankly, they sucked and your security wasn't secure at all. Got to do your due diligence. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP. And please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well, all of which are integrated with multi-factor authentication, identity management, all these fun things. And please, please, please stay safe, stay online. Please attempt to stay private and double check the platforms you're using. You don't want to use an FTX. Thanks again to Lucas Ropek. I'll see you next time. Take care.